So Brianna Reynolds with FabTV, and I'm joined with Ashley and Alyssa. Nice to meet you both. How are you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, can't complain. It's great. Now, my first question is for Alyssa. What was the casting process like, and how open did you have to be about your previous relationships you'd had?
So the casting process for this show was pretty extensive. We started casting in, I believe, February of 2021. And so we are asked to give names for people that we believe we would like to see come through the portal. We are asked to give our families and friends numbers so that they can contact them for suggestions as to who they think should also come through the portal. And ultimately, the casting producers, they get everything. They get your social media, they get friends of friends telling you what to, where to look. And so I think it's a mixed bag of different things. So people from social media, people from lists, people from suggestions. When I submitted my list, I submitted over 200 names. So it was definitely very interesting to cast for me. I don't know about Ashley's process.
Mine was very similar. Yeah, I would say for me, I didn't really do much of like a list. I maybe like mentioned a few people just like in talking to the producers. There was a lot of just like talking to, for them to get ideas. But, they did a good job diving in and finding people.
Yeah. And Ashley, what made you sign up for this series in particular?
Well, for me, it was probably more based on the fact that I've traveled a lot. I work as a travel CT tech. So I'm like constantly relocating. I was from, Cleveland to California to Colorado to Chicago. And, I always had the mindset I'm not staying long. So I never really made deep connections. So I thought, man, like how many people have I met in these like 2 years that I've been traveling the States that, maybe I could have had something more with. So that kind of like really piqued my curiosity and I thought I'd be a good participant. So I dove straight in.
Yeah. Now, Alyssa, I'd love to hear about your journal. I think you mentioned the 200 names before. How did you start writing the journal? And how did you get so many names in there?
Well, my journal and my list of names for production are two separate things. When I was writing my journal, I got into it in 2019, actually. So, just manifesting, what I wanted for my life. I wanted love, of course, like all of us do. And so, I had just thought of a process called scripting, in which you write out what you would like to happen. And that sometimes does manifest exactly what you want, like me going on this show and ultimately finding love. So I think that manifestation is a really huge part of my experience, and I would have probably never gone on this show if not for my deep dive into spirituality that began a few years ago.
Yeah. And Ashley, for you, were you surprised by anyone who popped into your portal?
I was surprised at everybody that popped into the portal. Yeah, Kyle was a surprise because I met him in Vegas on like a work conference, and I'm like, what happens in Vegas is supposed to stay in Vegas. Learned that. And then obviously someone on social media who I had like chatted with briefly but never actually met. Like that was a huge shock because how crazy of him to be like, oh yeah, sure, like I'm gonna go quarantine myself for 2 weeks for this girl I don't know at all, which like of course is flattering, but that was wild for them to pick him. And then when I saw my ex-boyfriend Quinn, I was like the last thing I expected, but all of them were really big surprises for me.
Yeah. And Alyssa, for you, do you believe in love at first sight?
I absolutely do believe in love at first sight. And funnily enough, I definitely believe that with some of my castmates, actually, my fellow leads, I instantly connected with them. We had a beautiful friendship and we continue our friendships to this day. Definitely. I definitely believe that romantic love at first sight exists, and you know, may or may not have found it on this show. So definitely stay tuned to see my journey.
Yeah. And actually for you, did the experience of being on the show change your perception or outlook on love?
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't say it changed my outlook on love. I think that it was eye-opening, and you know, I think throughout the show, obviously, at one point I'm like the villain because I'm trying to defend myself, and you know, I feel like you know, I'm being told like my feelings are invalid and I'm not allowed to feel that way. So I think you know, where that led to, like, obviously it showed that I'm a stubborn person, which I already knew. And I thought it was very funny how Taylor's like, I talked to Quinn and he said you're stubborn. I'm like, yeah, Taylor, I have flaws. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm sorry that Quinn had to break that to you. But it really, like, it made me able to be a better girlfriend because I was able to kind of learn some, you know, like learn more about my flaws and how I can fix them and make myself a better girlfriend and be a better lover.
Yeah. And Alyssa, for you, what advice would you have for anyone out there who's questioning whether they have missed a chance at love?
I think, and if you see my experience on the show, you know that I am somebody who will go for it. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to look back. I think that nobody wants to look back in life and say, you know, I just didn't try. And I think that that's something that everybody should take away from this show. You know, not all of us found love. Not all of us even may have gotten everything that we thought we would find from this experience. But at the end of the day, all of us can be proud of the fact that we tried and we, you know, searched high and low for the person for us. I think that you should never give up on love. And I think everybody should look for the love that they feel they deserve.
Yeah. And last question for you, Ashley, what do you think audiences can learn from the series?
I think audiences can learn to not write people off and give people second chances, because that's kind of what part of what I learned through my journey. And I think this should and could start a whole wave of people, you know, reaching back out to someone who they've always kind of like thought about or had in the back of their mind and thought, well, I don't know, it's been a few years, like I don't think I should reach out to them. But like, I think it should encourage them to do that, because you never know, you really never know. So you know, if you think that you have someone who's the one that got away, reach out to them, tell them about the show, make it, you know, it's an icebreaker.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting today. I really appreciate all the insight. Can't wait for audiences to see it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.